Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Ruma Paul, welcoming all to Chaitanya Studio of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University, Ahmedabad. We are dealing with lecture series of postgraduate diploma in marketing in the subject of international marketing. Students, in the last lecture, we have come across the concept of Swadeshi. We have come across that slow growth of Indian economy. Even we have come to know about the definition of international marketing. Even we have come across the features of international marketing and the problems of international marketing. So, in today's lecture, we will come to know about import and export procedures. So, today we will learn the block 2, unit 3, where we will come to know the export, the environment for the export. So, export import procedures, right? So, let's start with the objective, the learning objectives. So, here, after learning this unit, you will be able to understand the export procedures, the quality control and pre-shipment inspection, the condition and the procedures of central excise entrance, and the shipping and custom facilities and duty refunds. So the first thing that we need to know, that is export procedure is complex and time consuming. It covers many commercial and regulatory formalities. The exporter needs to have sufficient knowledge of these formalities, since goods go from one country to another. The exporter needs to comply with the rules and regulations of both the countries. So finally, the exporter needs to ensure all the commercial and regulatory documents are duly prepared and submitted to the appropriate authorities. So the export procedure consists of following 4 stages. So the first stage, it comes the registration, the second stage it comes the pre-shipment, and the third stage it comes that is shipment, and after that is post-shipment, right? So now we need to know each and every step in detail. So the first step it would come, that is registration. So the first thing in registration stage, in that stage also there are following steps that we need to follow. So the first thing it comes the registration of the organization. So at first the exporter has to register his organization with many institutions and authorities. This stage covers the following registration. So the first one that already we know, that is registration of the organization. So it is the form of organization should be registered under the appropriate act. Act as the first one, that is a joint stock company, should be registered under the Companies Act 1956. And the second one, a partnership firm should be registered under the Indian Partnership Act 1932. And the third one, a sole trader, should be registered with appropriate local authorities. Right. The next step that comes, that is opening bank account. The exporter needs to open a bank account for the organization with commercial bank authorized by the Reserve Bank of India. Right. The bank must be authorized, because if the bank will not authorize, it will be difficult, right? So bank must be authorized for foreign exchange dealing. The bank also finances the exporter for pre-shipment and post-shipment if required. Now the next one, that is obtaining importer-exporter code number, that's called IEC number. Right. The exporter needs to obtain IEC number from the Director General of Foreign Trade by paying ₹1,000. Now it may vary. Because it may vary, about the year, because it will be not the same for all the years, right? Now the next one that is very important, that is obtaining permanent account number. Okay, so the exporter needs to get a permanent account number from income tax department. It is mandatory. Yes, it is mandatory for many purposes. So it helps to get many exemptions, and deductions, deduction if applicable to various export income. Right. Now the next one, that is obtaining sales tax number. So the exporter, needs to apply to sales tax department to get a sales tax number. So sales tax department has various offices, right? So in different areas. So what that exporter need to do? Exporter need to apply for this. So the application should be made in the area where the exporter's office is situated. So in where the exporter belongs to, in that area, exporter can apply for this for this sales tax number. Right. Now the next one, that is registration with Export Promotion Council. Right. That is also called EPSA. Registration with Export Promotion Council. Right. So the exporter can only get the benefits offered under EXIM policy by being a member of Export Promotion Council. He or she needs to apply to appropriate Export Promotion Council and get a registration cum membership certificate. This is also important step in registration, in registration stage. So the next one, that is registration with ECGC. Okay. Now registration with Export Credit and Guarantee Corporation of India helps exporter secure overseas payment, political and commercial risk, along with making him or her eligible finances from commercial banks and financial institutions. Right. Now the next one, that is registration with other authorities. This is the last stage that has to be followed. The exporter also needs to register with other authorities. Okay, what are the authorities that you want to know? The first one, that is a Federation of Indian Export Organization. Then the second one, that is Indian Trade Promotion Organization. The third one, that is a chamber, Chamber of Commerce. And the fourth one, that is a Productivity Councils. So this four, it's very important that the exporter need to register with those authorities. So this is the registration stage. Exporter has to follow this. Okay, moving forward, the next pre-shipment stage. So in pre-shipment stage also there are following steps that exporter has to follow. So the first one, it comes approaching foreign buyers. So to get an export order, the exporter needs to use some techniques, like advertising in international media, then doing some personal, selling, then using personal contacts or public relation, then carry out some publicity campaign or participate in the trade fairs and exhibitions. Now the next stage, that is inquiry and offer. So what is inquiry and offer? Another way to get an export order is to send an inquiry request to an importer about the descriptions of goods, the standard size, weight, quantity, and payment terms, etc. Right. So after getting the inquiry, the exporter should reply immediately with the pro forma invoice. Now the next step, that is confirmation of order. So after the confirmation of order, the exporter needs to send 3 copies. Okay, 3 copies of pro forma invoice to the importer, who in return signs the copies and sends back 2 copies of the pro forma invoice to the exporter. Now the next step that comes, that is opening letter of credit. So letter of credit is the most prevalent payment method in export business because it assures both importer and exporter. As soon as the order is finalized, the importer opens a letter of credit in favor of exporter, and if it is agreed upon in export contract. Now the next stage, that is arrangement of pre-shipment finance. Now what it is? So after receiving the letter of credit, right, from the importer, the exporter can approach the bank for finance to supply the goods to the importer. Now the next, that is production or procurement of goods. Now this one is, the exporter starts the manufacturing the product. Now the exporter starts the manufacturing the product. So if he or she is a manufacturer or procures it from the domestic marketing according to agreed specification or specifications. Now next one, moving forward, packing and marking. So after procuring goods, it is properly packed and marked with all the details required proper shipment. So the exporter can take help from the Indian Institute of Packing if he or she doesn't have complete knowledge of packing and marking, right? Now the next one, that is pre-shipment inspection. So what is pre-shipment inspection? Actually, the exporter needs to contact the Export Inspection Agency. It's called EIA. So for taking inspection certificate, if the goods is subject to quality, checking under export norms. Now the next one, that is central excise clearance. So the exporter does not need to pay central excise duty. He or she can claim the exemption by one of the following ways. There is exemption. So the first one, that is export under rebate, and the second one, that is export under bond. Now the next one, that is obtaining insurance cover. So the exporter is required to take insurance cover as per norms and export contract, as the first one, that is ECGE policy in order to cover credit risks. The second one, that is a marine policy if the price quotation agreed upon CIF. Now the last one, that is appointing of agent. So as we have learned earlier, that export procedure is a complex and time consuming process, right? So it's a time consuming process, and it's like a complex. The exporter needs to hire a clearing and forwarding agent to complete required formalities. So that it will be effortless and smoothly, so that proper delivery of goods on time can be ensured, right? Okay. So this is the pre-shipment stage that that exporter needs to follow. Now moving forward to next, that what will come the next, that is shipment stage. Okay, so in shipment stage also there are few things that also there are few steps that also we need to follow. So export is done through the sea, right, or air or land. So however, most of the goods are shipped through the sea because why it is, because it is comparatively cheaper or budget friendly and can carry large quantity. So expensive items like gold, like diamond, etc. are exported by year. Why it is by year? Because shipment stage covers the following stages. The first one, that is reservation of shipping space. So after getting that export contract, the exporter first reserves the shipping space in a vessel for the shipment of goods. Now this this shipping company, they may have issues an order, but they will issue an order on getting requests from the exporter. So the export procedure's original copy is sent to the exporter and duplicate to the commanding officer to the ship who takes the goods on board, right? Now the next step, that is arrangement of internal transportation up to the port of shipment. So here in this step, the exporter makes necessary arrangement to the port by road or railways. Right. So if it is sent by railways, the authorities issues a railway receipt, which is either freight paid or freight to pay, for the title of goods. So the exporter is supposed to endorse the receipt in favor of the agent to authorize to take the delivery, to take the delivery of goods for shipment. Now the next one, that is preparation and processing of shipping documents. Okay, so this is also important when it comes to documents. It's obviously when the goods reach to the port, the exporter should give detailed instructions to the clearing forwarding agent along with the relevant documents to allow the shipment. So and this relevant documents, what are the relevant documents that we need to know? So they are like the first one, that is a ARE I form. The second one, that is certificate of origin. The third one, that is packing list or the note. The fourth one, 2 copies of GR form. And the fifth one, marine insurance policy. Then a certificate of inspection, if any. Then 2 copies of commercial invoice. And the last one, that is letter of credit attached with the export contract. Now moving forward to next, that is customs clearance. So the cargo before being loaded on the ship must be cleared from the custom. So the agent has to submit all the documents along 5 copies of shipping bill to the custom appraiser, at the custom house. So the custom appraisers, what they will do, they will check in the formalities related to the exchange control, the quality control, and the pre-shipment inspection. And licensing have been done. So and clears the goods for loading. After verification, the custom appraisers returns original copy of shipping bill, a copy of commercial invoice, except the original GR, the GR form to the agent. Now the next step that we need to follow, that is obtaining cutting order from the port trust authorities. Okay. Now after obtaining this cutting order from the superintendent of the port trust, the goods is moved, the goods over there will be moved to and into the port area and sorted at the allocated shed. Now the next one, that is custom examination and issue of let export order. Now this is like now the custom examiner issues let export order after physically examining the seals and the packaging, the packaging and the seals of the goods. So the exporter can also make an application to the assistant collector, of customs to conduct this inspection, at his factory or the warehouse. Now the next steps that has to be followed, that is obtaining let ship order from the customs preventive officer. So here, here it is like the agent has to also procure let ship order from the customs, preventive officer by submitting duplicate copy of shipping bill, duly endorsed by custom examiner. So let export order as well as, let ship order is required for loading the goods. Now moving forward to the last step, that is obtaining METS receipt and bill of lading. Now what it is, like after completing all the formalities that we have come across, goods is loaded on board the ship, and the MET or the captain actually of the ship issues METS received to the CANDIF to the port superintendent, and further the port superintendent then gives the METS receipt to the CANDIF agent. So after receiving the port dues from the exporter, now the CANDIF agent further gives the MET receipts that which he has, so gives the MET receipt to the exporter and takes the bill of lading from him. So these are the stages that has to be followed in export procedure. So this is shipment stage. Now moving forward to the post shipment stage. So what are the post shipment stage? So submission. So post shipment stage is submission of documents by the CANDIF agent to the exporter. So this stage is very important. So here what this CANDIF agent, what the CANDIF agent will do, he will submit the following documents to the exporter. After the completion of shipping, after this completion of the shipping procedures. So the first thing, he will give the duly attested copy of the invoice, and then duplicate copy of the ARE1 form, then drawback copy of the shipping bill, and the original letter of credit, export order or contract. And the fifth one, that is export promotion copy of the shipping bill, and the last one is a full set of negotiable and non-negotiable copies of bill of lading. Now the next one, that is shipment advice to importer. So the exporter sends a shipment advice covering date of shipment. So name of the vessel, the destination, etc. to the importer. He can also send a copy to non-negotiable bill and of lading to the importer. Now the next one, moving forward, that is presentation of documents to bank for negotiation. So the exporter submits all the relevant documents to the bank, to their own bank to initiate the process of this process and to initiate the process of getting the payment. So these documents are called negotiable set of export procedures documents, and the process is known as negotiation of documents. So the set of documents, the set of documents which is required, the set of documents covers the following documents. What are those sets? The first one, that is bill of exchange, and the second one, or usance draft of signed draft, and second one, all set of bill of lading or airway bill. The third one, that is original LIC, the custom invoice. The fifth one, it is a certified commercial invoice. Then sixth one, packing list. Then foreign exchange declaration forms, original and duplicate, GR soft, then forms, then exchange control copy of the shipping bill, and then certificate of origin, GSP or the APR certificate, and the last one, that is original and duplicate marine insurance policy. Now moving forward to next, that is dispatch of documents. So the bank scrutinizes the received documents from the exporter, and if the documents are complete and all the formalities are done as per the procedures, sends these documents to the importer's bank as specified in the letter of credit. So the bank sends attested copies of the commercial invoice and the bank certificate to the exporter. Right. Now the next one, that is acceptance of the bill of exchange. So here the set of bill of exchange and other documents as mentioned, which is mentioned, are called documented bill of exchange. Right. So there are two types of bill actually. The first one, that is documents against payment, that is that called the side draft. Okay, so when the drawer specifies that the document should be given to the importer only against the payment, so it is known as side drafts. And the second one, that is documents against acceptance, that is usance draft. Right. So when the drawer specifies that the document should be given to the importer only against acceptance of the bill of exchange, right? So it is known as usance drafts. Now moving forward to next, that is letter of indemnity. Now if the exporter signs the letter of indemnity to the bank, he gets the payment immediately. So signing the letter of indemnity means that exporter assures the bank that he will repay. He will repay. Actually, he will repay the entire amount along with interest if the bank does not get money from the importer. Now moving forward to next, that's realization of export proceeds. So when the bill of exchange reaches the importer, he or she pays to his bank, if it is accompanied with the signed draft. So if it is accompanied with the usance draft, he makes the payment on maturity of bill of exchange. So after receiving the money, importer's bank transfers the money actually to the exporter's bank, which is credited to the exporter's account. Now moving forward to next, that is processing of GR form. Okay, so further the export proceeds is documented on the duplicate of GR and sent to the RBI, which verifies it with the original GR. And if everything is found correct, the export transaction is considered as complete. So on receiving the export proceeds, the exporter's bank intimates same thing to them. Now the last one, that is realization of export incentives. So the exporter can submit a claim with appropriate authority along with the bank certificate if he or she is eligible for export incentives. Now the next one that is very important, that is that we need to know. So moving forward to the next slide, that is quality control and pre-shipment inspection. So that we need to know the methods of quality control and pre-shipment inspection. So as per the Export Quality Control and Pre-Shipment Inspection Act 1963, the Government of India has mandated it is compulsory the compulsory quality control and pre-shipment inspection of 90% of export items to promote the quality of goods according to international standard. So some of such items are listed, which I'm sharing with you. The first one, that is textiles, second one engineering goods, third one chemicals and allied products, fourth one the food and agricultural products, fifth one that is a coir, jute and leather products such as footwear, etc. So the inspection responsibility is assigned to Export Inspection Council. It's called EIC. So by the Government of India, the EIC has established 5 agencies, namely export inspection agencies at Delhi, then another one located is Mumbai, then Kolkata and Chennai, to carry out the inspection of goods to be exported. So the EIS have their own jurisdiction. So now we will see the methods, the methods of quality control and pre-shipment inspection that we can. Now the Export Inspect Council has recognized 3 systems of pre-shipment inspection. So the first one, that is self-certification. The self means it comes from own self, right? So it's a self-certification means under this system a manufacturing unit certifies its own products, right, and issues certificate for export. So this facility is extended to the exporters. So it's very important. So there are few things that we need to know. Having a good reputation and goodwill in the market. The second one, that is a fulfilling stringent norms that is prescribed for product quality, design and development, and raw materials and bought out components. Now the third one, that is having quality control laboratory in a process to control and independent quality audit facility. So the manufacturing units which have been recognized under this system have to pay a fee at the rate of somewhere 0.1%. It may vary it may vary from the month to month. Of FOB value, the minimum amount it is like 2,500 and maximum it rupees 1 lakh in a year in the consent EIA. So such units are recognized for a period of 1 year, which may be extended provided the manufacturing unit continues to fulfill the recognized norms. Now moving forward to the next next methods, that is in process quality control, that comes under IPQC. So under this system, stages by stages inspection of products like chemicals, like engineering goods is done during the process of production. So the inspection includes what are the inspections, right? The inspections includes the raw material and bought out the components control. The second one, process control. The third one, that is a product control. The fourth one, that is packing and packaging control. So over 800 units, all over India are operating under this system. So under IPQC system have been given option to issue certificate of inspection themselves, provided they get registered themselves as export worthy units with the consent EIA. Now moving forward, the next one, that is a consignment was inspection, right? So under this system, each individual consignment is subject to compulsory inspection by the EIA. So the following these are the procedures that we need to also remember, that also we need to keep in our mind. The first one, that is the exporter has to apply in the prescribed form to EIA at least 7 days before the expected date of shipment. The second one, after getting the intimation for inspection, the EIA deputes an inspector to conduct the pre-shipment inspection at the exporter's factory or warehouse. Now the third one, that is the inspector surrenders the report to the deputy director of the EIA after checking the goods and packing it, with EIA seal. So if the deputy director is satisfied with the report, he issues inspection certificate, in triplicate unsatisfactory report results in rejection. So these are the three, methods. These are the three stages or the methods in way this quality control and pre-shipment inspection is done. Now moving forward, the exceptional, right? So these are the units exempted from the inspection. So these are the following units are exempted from inspection. The first one, that is the trading houses, then export houses, then star trading houses and superstar trading houses. This is the first thing that comes. Now the second one, that is approved 100% export oriented units and export processing zones, right? Now the next one, that is registered exporters with the textile committee. And the last one, the goods, which are marked with ISI, then AG mark, then BIS 14,000, then ISO 9000 are all these units, means all this which has categorized, this four are exempted from this, they are the exempted, right, from this quality control and checking. So and this is the you check your progress, which you can do at your home. So these are the questions, okay, so this you can do at your home. And this is the further readings and references. If you would like to explore more about this topic, you can go through. Okay, so in this lecture we have come across the formalities of export procedures, and we have identified the documents, right? So require the export goods. So I'm concluding this session. We have come across this the export procedures. We have come across the pre-shipment, the shipment, the post-shipment and the registration stage. All the steps we have come across. Even we have come across the exemptions also, right? Even we have come across the quality control inspection, how to control, and what are the methods also we have come to know. So in our next lecture we will also come to know about the export and import procedures, right? Thank you all.
स्वाध्यायः